Good afternoon, students. This is Aravind, Assistant Professor, Department of Triply, PBR Viswadaya Institute of Technology and Science, Kavali. So, in the previous class, I discussed about comparison of HVAC and HVDC by considering the economics of transmission and technical performance. And now, in this class, I'm going to discuss the reliability comparison between the HVAC and HVDC transmission. Okay, so before going to that reliability concept, firstly, I will start with the limitations of HVDC transmission, and after that we are moving to the advantages of HVDC, and after that we are going to the reliability. So firstly, I will start with the limitations or disadvantages of DC transmission. So firstly, the first limitation is the circuit breakers used for breaking the DC current are costlier. Okay, the first disadvantage is the circuit breakers used for breaking the DC current are costlier. So in a HVDC transmission, so a there is a small amount of DC currents, that is the fault currents occurred in the DC line. So at that time, if we want to break the system, we have to use the DC circuit breaker. So here the circuit breakers used for breaking the DC current are costlier. So second disadvantage is inability to use transformers to change the voltage levels, because the transformers works for AC supply only. So I already said that in the introduction concept. So here the HVDC is used for only for the transmission purpose. So in the sending and receiving end we are using the AC supply only. So here if you want to use the transformers, there is no space for the transformers in the HVDC transmission. Why? Because the transformers works on the AC supply only. So that is the second disadvantage, that is inability to use transformers to change the voltage levels, because the transformers works for AC supply only. And third disadvantage is the cost of conversion equipment is more. So why it is more means, so in the converter station we have to use the rectifier station and inverter station, that is both the controllers we are using. So by using while using these two equipments, the cost is more. Not only those two, in the converter station we are using the filters. So for the purchase of those filters also the cost is more. That's why I mentioned the fourth point, that is to reduce the harmonics in HVDC systems. To reduce the harmonics in HVDC systems, it requires DC and AC filters. It requires DC and AC filters. Okay, DC and AC filters, which is the additional cost of converter station, and fifth one is complexity of control. So here the complexity of control occurs by controlling the voltage and power continuously. So coming to the sixth point, that is overload capacity is low as compared to AC transmission. So in the DC transmission, the overload capacity is low compared to AC transmission. And seventh one is HVDC converter needs cooling system. Why? Because the converter station is working continuously. So for that purpose, if you want to get the efficient results, we have to use the cooling systems for the HVDC converters. Okay, and next, maintenance of inverters are more. So for the maintenance of inverters, we have to take more attention for the inverters compared to the rectifiers. Why? Because the inverters are connected to the sending and receiving end side. That's why we have to uh, keep the attention more on the inverters. That's why we have to provide the maintenance for the inverters more. Okay, and next ninth one is voltage transformation is not possible in DC side. Why? Because we are not using any transformers on the DC side. That's why the voltage transformation is not possible in DC side, and hence it is to be provided on the AC side only. Why? Because in the AC side we are using the transformers. Okay, so these are the some limitations or disadvantages of DC transmission. Okay, and next I am moving to the next topic, that is advantages of HVDC transmission. So in the advantage of DC transmission, the first one is cheaper in cost. So why I am telling the DC transmission is cheaper in cost means, So compared to the AC transmission, so in the AC transmission, we are using 3 conductors for the power transmission, but in the DC transmission, we are using only 2 conductors. So that's why the HVDC system cost is cheaper. And next, second one is HVDC line can be built in stages. This is the second advantage. Why I am telling the HVDC line can be built in stages means, so here here we are using, actually initially we are using the monopolar operation. So in the monopolar operation we are using only one conductor. So because of increase in the line loading or loading, the monopolar operation is converted into bipolar operation. Okay, so that's why the HVDC line can be built in stages. Okay, so next one is no skin effect. So I already said that in the economics of transmission concept, there is no skin effect on the DC transmission. Why? Because in the DC transmission, there is a uniform distribution of current through the conductors. And in the AC side, there is a non-uniform distribution of currents in the AC transmission. That's why the skin effect presence in the AC transmission. Okay, next, lower transmission losses. So why I am telling the DC transmission consists of lower transmission losses means, so same example I am taking. So in the AC transmission, we are using the 3 conductors for the power transmission, but in the DC transmission, we are using only 2 conductors. That's why we are getting the lower transmission losses compared to the AC transmission. And coming to the line loading, so the line loading means, so here in the DC transmission the line loading is not limited, but in the AC transmission the line loading is limited, that is below the 90% of the natural load. Sorry, 80% of the natural load, that is a less than 80% of the natural load. And next, coming to the reliability, so here the DC transmission have greater reliability. Why I am telling this point means, so the bipolar DC link is more reliable compared to the AC transmission AC line. Why? Because in the monopolar operation, if we get any fault on the DC line, so there is a stoppage of the service, there is a stoppage of the supply. But in the bipolar operation, if any fault occurs on one line or one conductor, the other conductor will act as a monopolar. That's why the DC transmission consists greater reliability. And next advantage is absence of charging current and no limitations on cable length. Okay, so absence of charging current means, so in the DC transmission we are not having any capacitance effect, but in the AC transmission we are having the capacitance effect. That's why there is a chance of producing the charging current. There is a chance of producing the charging current in the AC transmission, but because of the absence of the capacitance effect in the DC transmission, um, that's why there is no limitation on cable length. But because of the presence of the charging current, there is a limitations on the cable length and AC systems, particularly in the underground or underwater cables. Okay, next, coming to the low short circuit currents. Why I am telling this advantage for the DC transmission means, so if any fault occurs on the DC transmission, that fault is controlled by the grid control converter. Okay, but in the AC transmission, because of the presence of parallel lines, there is a chance of producing the high short circuit currents in the line. And next, coming to the next advantage is lesser coronal loss and radio interference. So I in the economics of transmission class only I discussed this coronal loss. So actually the DC transmission does not contain any coronal loss. Why? Because the corona loss only occurred in the AC transmission. So what is meant by corona loss? I already discussed it in the previous class only. So what is meant by corona loss means the phenomenon of violet glow, hissing noise, and production of ozone over a overhead line is called corona loss. And there is no radio interference problem in the DC transmission, but there is a radio interference problem in the AC transmission. And next, coming to the stability limit. So here there is no stability limit in the DC transmission over the AC transmission. Okay, because of the there is no limit on the there is no limit on the line length. Okay, there is no limit on the line length. There is no stability effect on the DC line compared to the AC. And next, reactive power compensation. So this is the one of the main advantage of the DC transmission. So there is no reactive power compensation. That is actually in an AC transmission, there is a requirement of reactive power control. That's why we are using the shunt compensation and series compensation. Um, but in the DC transmission, we don't want any reactive power compensation. Okay, next coming to the negligible sheath losses. So in the DC transmission, only leakage current is present in the DC transmission at the cable sheaths. But in the compared to the AC transmission, so in the AC transmission, there is a presence of eddy current and circulating currents, and a few more currents are present in the cable sheaths. That's why compared to the AC transmission, the DC transmission has lesser sheath losses or negligible sheath losses. And next advantage is higher dielectric strength and longer life of cable insulation. The higher dielectric strength and longer life of cable insulation. So these are the advantages of DC transmission. Okay. Next, we are moving to the next concept, that is reliability. So this is one of the comparison of AC and DC transmission, that is reliability. So here the reliability of DC transmission system, the reliability of DC transmission system is good and comparable to that of AC systems. So the reliability of your DC links has also been very good. The reliability of DC links has also been very good. So there are two measures of overall system reliability. Okay, there are two measures of overall system reliability. Those are, first one is energy availability and transient reliability. Okay, energy availability and transient reliability. So firstly, I will discuss the energy availability. So what is meant by the energy availability? So the energy availability means it is the 100 into 1 minus equivalent outage time by actual time. 100 into 1 minus equivalent outage time by actual time. So here what is meant by outage time? So outage time means the state of equipment or a unit of equipment is unavailable for a certain period, is known as outage. So here what is meant by actual outage time? So here the actual outage time means the time elapsed in hours between start and stop of the outage time. Okay, so here the equivalent outage time means it is the product of the actual outage time. Okay, it is the product of actual outage time and the fraction of system capacity lost due to outage. The fraction of system capacity lost due to outages. This is the energy availability. Okay, and next, transient reliability. So this is the second measure of reliability concept in the comparison of HVAC and HVDC, that is transient reliability. So the transient reliability is a factor specifying the performance of HVDC systems during recordable faults on the associated AC systems. Okay, so the transient reliability is a factor specifying the performance of HVDC systems during recordable faults on the associated AC systems. So here the transient stability is equal to 100 into number of times HVDC systems performed as designed divided by number of recordable AC faults. So what is meant by the recordable AC faults? So the recordable AC faults are the faults which cause one or more AC bus phase voltages to drop below 90% of the voltage prior to the fault. So what is meant by the recordable AC faults? So here the recordable AC system faults are those faults which cause one or more AC bus phase voltages to drop below 90% of the voltage prior to the fault. And next, both energy availability and transient reliability of existing DC systems with thyristor valves is 95% or more. So both energy availability and transient reliability of existing DC systems with thyristor valves is 95% or more. So these are the two measurements we are using for the reliability concept. That is, one is energy availability and second one is transient reliability. And next we are moving to the comparison of AC and DC transmission. So in the HVAC systems, so here for same power transmission, okay, for same power transmission, there is a requirement of 3 conductors in the AC system. That's why here the transmission losses are higher in the AC system compared to the DC system. So in the DC system, for the same power transmission, we are using 2 conductors. And next, coming to the second comparison, that is in the HVDC transmission, the current distribution through the conductors is uniform. So that's why, so there is no skin effect on the DC transmission. But in the AC transmission, the current distribution through the conductors is more. That's why the AC transmission consisting of the skin effect. And coming to third comparison, that is, so here the ground return is not possible in the AC transmission, but in the DC transmission the ground return is possible. That is the third comparison between HVAC and HVDC. And coming to the fourth one, so there is no power transfer limit in the HVDC transmission, but there is a power limit in the HVAC transmission. So there is a power transmission in AC transmission is required by power angle and voltage differences. So I already said in the voltage control concept. So that means in that one here the voltage control is depend upon the angle, the voltage and the angle, the phase differences between the voltages at the both ends. So the same point here we are using, there is no power transfer limit. That is, the single HVDC can be used up to some megawatts, that is 3000 megawatts. And next, here the voltage control is easier in the HVDC, but in the HVAC the voltage control is not an easier. Okay, and next, coming to the next comparison, that is because of absence of charging currents in HVDC system, okay, it does not require reactive power compensation. But in the HVAC compensation, in HVAC systems, we have the reactive power compensation. But in the HVDC transmission, there is no reactive power compensation. Okay, that is one of the comparison of HVAC and HVDC transmission. And next, since the DC system has no frequency, there is no corona loss in the HVDC transmission and no radio interference problem in the HVDC transmission. But in the AC system, actually the AC system is directly proportional to the frequency. There is the presence of the frequency. That's why we are having the corona loss and radio interference problem in the HVAC. Okay, and next, reliability is more for the HVDC transmission and reliability is less for the HVAC transmission. And next one, the short circuit current is less in the HVDC transmission and short circuit current is more in the HVAC transmission. And next, the capital cost is low and is economical for longer distances, that is for the HVDC transmission. And in the HVAC transmission, the capital cost is high and it is not economical for longer distances of power transmission. And coming to the reliability or stability, so here the HVDC transmission is high stability, but the HVAC system is lesser stability. Okay, these are the comparisons of HVAC and HVDC transmission. And next, we are moving to the next concept, that is applications of DC transmission. So due to their cost and special nature, most applications of DC transmission generally fall into one of the following three categories. Those are underground or underwater cables, and second one is longer distance bulk power transmission, and third one is stabilization of power flows in integrated power system. These are the three categories we are using for the applications of DC transmission. So firstly, I will start with the underground or underwater cables. So for the underground or underwater cables, so in the case of long cable connections, so in the case of long cable connections over the break-even distance of about 40 to 50 kilometers, DC cable transmission system has a marked advantage over AC cable connection. Okay, in the case of long cable connections over the break-even distance of about 40 to 50 kilometers, DC cable transmission system has a marked advantage over AC cable connections. So here examples of this type of applications were the Gotland and the Sardinia schemes. So the Gotland scheme is used in 1954 and the Sardinia scheme is used in the 1967. Okay, and the recent developments of VSC, that is voltage source converters, and the use of rugged polymer DC cables with the so-called HVDC light option are being increasingly considered. So an example of this type of application is the 180 megawatt direct link connection in Australia. It is established in the year 2000. Okay, an example of this type of application is the 180 megawatts direct link connection in Australia. Okay, so this is for the underground or underwater cables. And next, long distance bulk power transmission. This is second application of DC transmission. So here the bulk power transmission over long distances is an application ideally suited for DC transmission and is more economical than AC transmission whenever the break-even distance is exceeded. So examples of this type of application abound from the earlier Pacific intertie to the recent links in China and India. There is a Thailand connection. So if you want to transmit the power over the long distances for the bulk power transmission, we are using a tie line from the two power stations to link the two power stations. Okay, so here the break-even distance is being effectively decreased with the reduced costs of new compact converter stations possible due to the recent advances in power electronics. Okay, so the break-even distance is being effectively decreased with the reduced cost of new compact converter stations possible due to the recent advances in power electronics. And next, coming to the third one, that is stabilization of power flows in integrated power system. Stabilization of power flows in integrated power system. So in large interconnected systems, power flow in AC ties can be uncontrolled and lead to overloads and stability problems, thus endangering system security. So in large interconnected systems, power flow in AC ties can be uncontrolled and lead to overloads and stability problems, thus endangering the system security. So strategically placed DC lines can overcome this problem due to the fast controllability of DC power and provide much needed damping and timely overload capability. And the planning of DC transmission in such applications requires detailed study to evaluate the benefits. Okay, the planning of DC transmission in such applications requires detailed study to evaluate the benefits. And example is the for this application is the Chandrapur to Patgai link in India. So the example for stabilization of power flows in integrated power system is the Chandrapur to Patgai link in India. And presently, the number of DC lines in a power grid is very small compared to the number of AC lines. So practically, the number of DC lines in a power grid is very small compared to the number of AC lines. So this indicates that DC transmission is justified only for specific applications. Okay, so although advances in technology and introduction of multi-terminal DC systems or MTDC systems are expected to increase the scope of application of DC transmission. So it is not anticipated that the AC grid will be replaced by a DC power grid in the future. Okay, so there is no anticipation that the AC grid will be replaced by a DC power grid in the future. So there are two major reasons for this why the AC grid is overcome why the AC grid is not replacing the DC grid means there is two major reasons for this. That is, first one is the control and protection of MTDC systems is complex, and the inability of voltage transmission in DC networks imposes economic penalties. Okay, so that is the first reason. And coming to the second one, that is the advances in power electronics technology have resulted in the improvement of the performance of AC transmission using FACTS devices. So here the FACTS device means the flexible AC transmission systems incorporate power electronic concepts uh, to control the power and to enhance the power transmission capability in the AC lines. So the advances in power electronics technology have resulted in the improvement of the performance of AC transmissions using FACTS devices. So for instance, through introduction of static wire systems, static phase shifters, etc., like that we are using. And some applications of DC transmission is Rihan to Delhi and Chandrapur to Padghe were the first long distance HVDC projects in India. Okay, Rihan to Delhi and Chandrapur to Padghe were the first long distance HVDC projects in India. So in 1990, Rihat to Delhi, that is Singrauli thermal power complex with a combined power generation of several thousand megawatts was put into service. So it covers over a distance of 1814 kilometers. So in 1990, there is a link between Rihan to Delhi. In that one, we have a thermal power complex with a combined power generation of several thousand megawatts was put into service. So it covers over a distance of 814 kilometers. So the 1500 megawatts transmission Chandrapur to Padghe was put into service. It covers over distance of 736 kilometers. 736 kilometers. Okay, thank you. So in this class, I discussed about the limitations or disadvantages of DC transmission and advantages of DC transmission. After that, I discussed last concept of the comparison of HVS and HVDC, that is um, reliability. So in this reliability concept, we discussed two measures. One is energy availability and second one is transient reliability for both AC and DC transmission. And after that, we discussed about the comparison of AC and DC transmission in a tabular manner, in a tabular column. Okay, so after that, we discussed about the applications of HV DC transmission. So in that one, we discussed about the three concepts. One is underground or under cable system transmission, and secondly, longer distance bulk power transmission and stabilization of power flows. Okay, these three concepts in integrated systems, these three topics covered in the applications of digital transmission. And also I discussed some real projects in India and in the outside of India, applications of DC transmission also we discussed. Okay, thank you for watching this video.